We work with thousands of marketing agencies at Agorapulse, and when we asked them what they struggle with the most, the number one answer was always how to grow and scale their agency. But when we drill down, we find that the problems and the solutions change as the agencies grow. New and boutique agencies struggle with messaging, targeting, and lead nurture. It's a near constant battle to keep the pipeline filled and the next project client coming on board. Now, as agencies grow, however, they often change their revenue model to a recurring proposition, which is a great help to cash flow, but that introduces a new challenge to agencies: churn. If you've got a problem with too many customers canceling or not renewing, how do you reverse that? How can partnerships help? That's what we're covering in today's episode of Partnership Unpacked. This is Partnership Unpacked, your go-to guide to growing your business through partnerships quickly. I'm your host, Mike Alton, and each episode unpacks the winning strategies and latest trends from influencer marketing to brand partnerships, and ideas that you can apply to your own business to grow exponentially. And now, the rest of today's episode. Welcome back to Partnership Unpacked, where I selfishly use this time to pick the brains of experts at strategic partnerships, channel programs, affiliates, influencer marketing, and relationship building. Oh, and you get to learn too. Subscribe to learn how you can amplify your growth strategy with a solid takeaway every episode from partnership experts in the industry. And while we often talk about partnerships as a growth channel, leveraging affiliates or influencers, for example, to introduce our brand to new audiences, there's another terrific application for partnerships, and that is to increase customer satisfaction and stickiness and thereby reduce churn. What does that mean? How does it work for marketing agencies? What are some examples? That's exactly what our guest today, Rachel Nulman-Schapiro, is going to talk to us about. Rachel is an ambassador to small business and agency communities for Visita, a tool that savvy agencies are using for everything from client management to email marketing. She's in a position to help and advise them because she's been in their shoes, having started a marketing agency of her own in college. And today, she's going to help us understand how to leverage partnerships to reduce churn and keep our cash flow positive. Hey, Rachel, welcome to the show.
Hi, Mike. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited for our conversation today.
My pleasure. Let's start by talking a little bit about Visita for those who may be unfamiliar with the SaaS company.
Absolutely. So Visita was founded in 2010, so that's quite a while ago. We sort of started out as an online scheduling tool, and then over the years developed more into an all-in-one business management for small businesses. So our vision is to really help, small businesses enjoy everything technology has to offer. So instead of running their business with a pen and paper or out of a notebook or maybe an Excel sheet, they get an application where they can manage their bookings, their payments, their CRM, their client messaging, their email marketing, and everything from one place where, they don't really need to be super tech savvy to use it. So we do have relationships directly with small businesses, but most of our business is generated via channel partners, and we work very closely with many marketing agencies worldwide. They sort of work with us in different ways. Some of them are just distribution partners, so they'll resell our software to their customer. But what we've been doing over the last couple of years is actually working as a platform partner for many agencies. So agencies will kind of use the foundation of our platform, of our solution, and kind of build their own SaaS offering on top of it and then deliver that to their clients. So we've got some partners, agency partners, that is, doing some really interesting things with our software.
How fascinating. Now, your role as an ambassador to small businesses and agencies, what does that entail exactly?
So as you mentioned, I actually, in my previous life, I co-founded an agency that served the small business community. We were doing everything from website building to social media and SEO. It was kind of before the days of the real influencer marketing, but we were kind of doing it before it was called influencer marketing. And we had, it was just such an incredible journey for me to be on. And although I did end up moving into more of the tech industry, I've always kind of still held on to that, just to those memories and everything I've learned on that journey. And when it came the opportunity to join Visita 4 years ago, I was so excited to be able to sort of connect those two worlds and go back to working with the agencies and the small businesses, but do it in a place where I can really empower them with technology. So I kind of have two hats. On one side, I have kind of a direct relationship with the small businesses we serve. I kind of help them with understanding how the product can deliver value. So I do a lot of content projects and webinars, just on helping our users kind of understand how to customize the platform to their needs. And I also, me and my team work very closely with our partners, our agency partners. We do the sales enablement. We train partner sales teams on how to talk to their small businesses about the platform, how to provide customer success on the platform. So I really kind of have this one interface with the small businesses where I also learn a lot, and then I'm able to share that knowledge with our partners and help them really make the most of the partnership with Visita.
That's so cool. Yeah, we don't honestly do anything quite like that at Agorapulse, so this is all very much new to me. And I know many of our listeners are wondering, okay, how does this actually work? So, could you tell us, how does a partnership with an agency actually work?
Sure. So what we do basically is we kind of provide our software to the marketing agency, and they don't use it for themselves. So it's not necessarily a CRM they're going to be using to manage their own customers. They resell it to their customers. So if you're an agency and you're serving the small business community, and you're doing things like building websites and running these lead gen campaigns, what you can do is kind of plug those services into our platform and then sell this entire platform that includes website building, review management, SEO, lead gen, as well as CRM and ongoing business management, all sort of under one umbrella. And we do it under in a white label arrangement. So our partners kind of sell the solution as their own. So that's sort of how it works. Just in terms of, and I know this is a common, I know other SaaS companies do this as well. And I think what really kind of makes Visita stand out is the fact that we're sort of partner first. So besides providing the solution, which the agencies sell, we also give, our partners this whole sort of set of services. So for example, I mentioned my team that does the sales training and, professional services. We have developers that work for some of our partners. So that's kind of the blueprints of it. Every partner is a little bit different. So it ends up, every partner ends up kind of with their own unique solution. But that's, I guess, in a nutshell, how it works.
That is so cool. I love that. It's actually got me thinking honestly about ways that I could develop that as a channel partner program here, with Agorapulse. We work with agencies, but typically it's just us selling them access to our tool, and then they add their clients there. Sometimes they refer their clients, and the clients pay us directly. But it's not that formal program like what you have. So that sounds really interesting. Let's get into some of the specific ways, though, that agencies can use partnerships to reduce churn. Starting with diversifying services. What does that mean exactly? And what are some examples you've seen with the agencies that you work with?
Sure. So this is true to, I guess, any SaaS solution that's going to be sold by a marketing agency, because it's basically, if you're an agency and you're introducing a SaaS offering, kind of expanding your proposition, you're basically looking for more things that you can sell to your existing customer base. So I guess that's kind of by default an additional revenue channel. You just got more things to sell to the people you're already selling to. And what it really means is just expanding that proposition and being able to deliver additional value, of course, at an additional cost. What we very often see with partners is that they go from being, a platform or an app where the small business is going to be, editing their website once a month, or checking out their SEO dashboard maybe, once in a week, or getting these notifications about leads that are being captured, but just all around not all that much engagement. You go from being that to being the platform that's being used for the very kind of basic core business activity. So every time a customer receives a message, every time a small business gets a booking, every time a small business is going to issue an invoice, those kind of everyday, day in, day out activities, they're going to be using the platform delivered by the agency. They're going to be logging into the agency's platform. So we're kind of seeing this super sharp increase in engagement and in perceived value. Suddenly an agency goes from being an agency that built a website to this organization that provides the foundation of the small business's everyday business. So that's, and then that also creates a very solid base for upsell, because suddenly the customer is there in the platform, basically every day, multiple times a day. And that's a great environment to introduce additional services and say, hey, we're launching this influencer marketing service next month, or we're running this special promotion where you can get into marketing automation. We know that's something you've never done before. And you can introduce these offerings in the platform. And what we've seen from partners is that it just kind of gives them a really good space to engage with their customers and provide these additional offerings. And they're able to do it in context, right? So it's not just, oh, hey, we're offering this service now. It's more like, hey, I see you're getting a lot of traffic to your website, but it looks like a lot of these leads aren't converting. So let's see what we can do together to help you transfer more of those leads into actual paying business.
I love that, because this is actually something that comes up every single year. We do this huge agency summit in June, and it's focused on helping agencies grow and scale their businesses. And one of the common purposes of the content that we put out there is to help agencies do just this: diversify their services. You're an SEO agency? Great. Come to this event and learn social media. You're a social media agency? Great. Come to this event and learn how to offer remote live video production. But that tip you just added at the end was that ability for the agency to see with their existing customers where they're already trying to pursue some success and maybe they're struggling a little bit. And that creates an opportunity for you as the agency to step in and say, hey, I saw you doing this. That's something we can help you with. We've got this extra service here. Love
Absolutely.
It's brilliant.
It's kind of like you're getting into the sales funnel with them. So as opposed to having that handshake where you're saying, all right, I got you your leads via the website or the social media campaign or whatever it is I'm offering. It's, here's the lead. Let's see what we're going to do about it. Here's an email campaign. We can send this lead on your behalf. Or here's a platform you can use to send that lead, the first message. Something that was really a game changer for us is when we rolled out a feature with push notifications. It sounds so simple, right? But what we did was we work with a lot of agencies that build websites. And they had this thing where there were leads coming in via these websites. And these leads weren't being seen by the small business customer, sometimes days. So, a roofer or a plumber gets a form submission from a website, and they're going to call a week later and be like, oh, hi, you completed something on my website. And the person on the other side is going to say, what are you talking about? Like, you didn't, half an hour later, I was already on the call with the next listing in Google. So what we did was we kind of helped the agencies notify the business. As soon as that lead came through, they get a push notification to their mobile saying someone just converted on your website. You got to get in there now, call this person, make that sale. And it also, and this is something that really helps agencies just kind of showcase their success. They go from just being this delivery tool for leads to something that actually generates real business, real money in the bank for the small business.
And that's a huge key right there. Being able to prove your worth, prove the impact that you're having on your clients' business. That's going to help that retention for sure. Now, when an agency is partnering to expand services like this or using other channels, how do you measure ROI?
That's a great question. I think it's actually it's a really simple answer, but it is something I come across very often when I'm speaking to some of our partners, some of our agencies. You're kind of in this business, and I know because I've been on that agency side myself, where everything is measurable, right? Nothing's done just sort of like in the dark anymore. You're accountable for every single click, every single traffic source. You know exactly what the net value of the services you're delivering are. And I think that's a really great kind of framework to be in where everything is measurable. And as an agency, like I know from our partners, sometimes there's a lot of concern when they're introducing or rolling out a new service, because it's kind of like, we know we do what we do and we do it so well and we're the best. And suddenly we need to, diversify our revenue, or we need to address this churn problem, and we need to integrate this additional service into the very core of our business. And luckily, when partnering with SaaS providers, measurements are actually really, really easy. Because what SaaS, which isn't always available with other tools, is when you're a SaaS provider, you just by nature have access to data, and you know exactly how many people are using your platform, how many people are engaging, how long the average session is, how much they're paying you, what the upsell potential is. It's all kind of just there. So it's really easy to see, once you're up and running, it's really easy to see how much revenue you're actually driving from this, new service you're rolling out. And luckily, very often with SaaS providers that are open platforms like Visita, and what I mean by that is that it's not just like a product that comes off the shelf. It's a product where it's kind of built in a way where from day one, it's very, very easy to seamlessly integrate with any existing solutions that the agencies offer. And this, by the way, is a tip I always give to agencies that are looking to partner with SaaS providers from any industry, for any purpose, is it's always a good idea to find a SaaS solution where, look on their website for a developer's hub, look on their website for technical documentation that is going to be an indication that this is a platform where integrations are possible. And it's not just this like closed box of a product that you're going to end up selling as this standalone offering, and it's not going to talk to the other services or platforms you deliver. And it's just going to create, all this overhead. And then that's, a tip for when you choose a SaaS provider for any purpose. And specifically in Visita, that's something we invest in a lot, in just being an open platform where partners can really make their solution their own and plug in any additional services, and we can integrate with anything they're already offering. So when it comes to ROI, first of all, the investment is usually lower than it would have been if it was a, kind of closed off the shelf product. It doesn't have all that overhead. Usually we can even go to market with partners within several weeks. So it's not like they're going to invest months and months of time and talent and, just building the business model for what we're going to do together. And when you try looking at return, again, it's actually pretty easy, because you're able to see, all right, this is the revenue I'm making from selling subscriptions to this platform. And we actually have a lot of product monetization opportunities within the platform. So just an example is that we have our own native payment processing service, which agencies love, because every business needs to get paid, right? Every small business customer needs to get paid, needs to send out invoices. And we know that there's this growing interest among small businesses in online payment processing. In fact, we ran a study 2 years in a row in the small business community. It's a survey we launch sort of towards the end of every year. And what we found is that there's a pretty consistent growth in adoption of in technology in general within the small business market. I think it was about 30% of participants said that they were going to spend more. They anticipated that their spend on technology was going to grow this year. And that, it was 30 participants spent more last year than they did the year before. And 50% of small businesses anticipated that this year they're going to be spending even more. So that's kind of a space where we know small businesses are going to be spending. That's just kind of in general about the adoption of technology among the small business market. But specifically payments is always up there. It's always one of the first features to be adopted when we get these new small businesses using the platform, because every business needs to get paid, and getting paid online is about 3 times faster than it is offline for these small businesses. So they're able to get that money in the bank that much faster. It helps them manage their cash flow. It helps them invest more in growth. It helps them kind of invest more, sometimes even in marketing, have that, additional buffer, which allows them to invest more in their marketing efforts. And what we do is we actually offer the agency to kind of join us in the payment processing service. So now the agency is offering their small businesses this online payment processing solution that they can use instead of something like PayPal or Square, and it's branded as the agency's processing service, and the agency will enjoy processing fees, obviously. So that's just an example of how agencies are able to monetize partnership with Visita. And I know something else that's very common with obviously with Visita, but also with other SaaS solutions, is that there's sort of an additional monetization opportunity with selling paid applications within the platform. So you can, as an agency, you can say, hey, I'm going to sell this new app. I'm going to integrate an app for creating really easy graphic design on Instagram for Instagram stories. And you can sell that as an app on the platform and charge, whatever it is, $20 a month. And that's just an additional opportunity to monetize the platform because the user is already there. It's where they're managing their business. And you can introduce, these services. So just back to the question about ROI, at the end of the day, the agency is looking at a dashboard where they can see exactly, how many subscriptions they've got for users that are using this platform. What does that additional revenue from the monetization opportunities look like? So payment processing or paid apps or whatever it is. So the bottom line is pretty visible. And obviously the investment, as I mentioned, isn't super high. So in general, with SaaS partnerships, ROI is normally pretty easy to calculate.
That is so powerful. And I love the fact that you included the time to go to market. That's actually a critical component with a lot of agencies, a lot of the tools that they're thinking about implementing that doesn't get addressed until sometimes it's too late. All of a sudden, they've invested in a tool and they realize it's going to be 6 months before they can actually use it and bring it to their clients and their target audience. So friends, we're talking with Rachel about how agencies are able to measure the ROI from their partnerships. And I've got a few more questions I want her help with. But before we move on, let's hear about how Agorapulse can help businesses and marketing agencies measure ROI from another channel, social media.
It's the Arc de Triomphe. Can you imagine if you're in charge, if you're the CMO of Marketing Paris? What are your main channels? Wow, there's the Arc de Triomphe. There's the Eiffel Tower. There's the Louvre. Those are your channels you're going to use to drive tourism dollars in. Okay, now, but you're not the CMO of Paris. In fact, you're the CMO of your company, product, service. So what are your main channels? Well, I'm going to guess there are things like pay-per-click, maybe trade shows, events, maybe content. Those are all pretty predictable, right? Let me ask you this question. Are you treating social media as a main channel? By the way, only 1.8% of you today measure social media and can prove an ROI in that investment. HubSpot and Gartner say social media is the #1 channel to invest in this year. Are you doing it? If not, I can tell you why. You're not doing it because you don't have the tools, you don't have the mentality, and that's okay. We've got you covered. You change the mentality, we'll give you the tool. Agorapulse tracks all the ROI for you. One place to manage all your social media activity, your #1 channel. Change your success. Treat social media as a channel, one CMO to another. My name is Daryl. I'm with Agorapulse. I'll talk to you soon.
All right, let's bring Rachel back on. Rachel, I want you to help us understand another way that agencies can reduce churn. It's about staying top of mind with their clients. And you suggested that there was a way that they can use technology to address that.
Sure. So there's a really great metric we use in SaaS, which is engagement score. And what we basically do is we're going to calculate activities that are happening on the platform, right? Because we know when the user is on the platform, we know what they're doing. In the Visita example, we know that they're doing things like writing to leads that have just landed in their CRM, or booking appointments with them, or collecting payments from them, or sending them contracts that they can sign. And with other SaaS, I'm sure there's that they know how to count their activity kind of score as well. And what happens is we're able to kind of determine the level of engagement at any given time. And we're able to sort of bucket users according to their behavior within the platform. And we're able to say, these users these guys are super engaged, they know exactly what they're doing. What we should do is we should just, continue nurturing them and engaging them and giving them more ideas of how they can leverage the platform. But then on the other side, there might be users that are completely disengaged and users that, haven't logged in for a while. And I know with just coming from the agency world, I've experienced that as an agency professional where sometimes you have these accounts and it's just sort of not clear what their level of engagement is because, they're getting their leads, or maybe they have their website up in the air, or you're running a campaign for them, but you're not really sure, what's going on. Are they talking to the leads and catching for them? Are they, even thinking about updating their website? You're sort of in the dark. And I think what SaaS really sort of gives you the eyes on the users. You're really able to understand those levels of engagement, and then create a plan. So for example, what we do at Visita is we have this whole sort of automated alert system where we're able to tell when users are dropping out of adoption. So if someone was super engaged on the platform, but then suddenly is slowing down, the customer success manager that's assigned to that user is going to get a red flag and say, hey, this person has been less active. Maybe they're just on vacation, sipping their cocktail at the beach or something, but maybe they're actually becoming less engaged in the platform. And maybe they're thinking of moving over to a competing solution, or maybe they're just not seeing the value. And then it's just very likely they're going to end up churning. So we kind of have the ability to see churn before it happens and then get in there, get in front of the customers and be able to see, what's going on? How come why haven't you logged in for several days? I'm sending you these leads, or is anything happening? Are you in touch with these people, or am I bringing you real value? And very often those conversations are able, and it doesn't even have to be a conversation, it can be a phone call, but it could also just be an email that goes out automatically. It could also just be a pop-up somewhere where we're basically getting in front of the user and saying, hey, you're paying for this service and we want to deliver the value we promised. And let's make sure that happens. And that's a way we're able to really bring a lot of users that are sort of on their, what we call slipping away, on their way out, bring them back into the engagement pool, keep them engaged, keep them close to us, make sure they don't churn, and make sure they don't move over to our competitors.
It's so funny because at the outset of, I think, pretty much every show, I say that I'm selfishly bringing these people on to help me. And it is so true. I'm not a marketing agency. With Agorapulse, we're a SaaS company. So everything you're saying is great for marketing agencies, but it's also 100% true at Agorapulse. We're paying attention to our users, how they connect, how many social profiles, and that sort of thing. And we have an engagement score, and we know exactly, really, how many things they need to do within their first 30 or 60 days in order to know whether or not they're going to be likely to become a paying client. But where we are dropping the ball is 6, 12, 18 months from now. Are they still engaged? Are they still using the app? Are we reaching out via email, text messages, even phone calls? In fact, that was going to be my next question, and you answered it brilliantly. Use whatever these methods make sense to re-engage that customer, to check in with them, make sure they know that you've got new features, make sure they know how to use the tool, make sure they're happy. And I think a lot of people might be afraid, honestly, whether it's a small business owner or a CEO of a SaaS company, afraid to reach out to a customer that seems like they're distancing themselves from you, kind of afraid that, if I say something, that's just going to make them hit the cancel button that much faster. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I can relate to that. That's actually something we sometimes think about when we send out like a really huge email blast that we know is going to reach people that haven't been engaged. And it's kind of like, what if this just reminds them and they'd be like, I don't need this. I don't want this. And I think it's there. We have to address it. It is a concern. But at the end of the day, and I can say this on behalf of both the small businesses we work with directly, as well as the small businesses we help our partners manage. So our partners, the agencies, small business customers, more often than not, these people really want to get the value they signed up for, more than they want to leave or cancel the subscription. They want to get the service they're paying for. They want to get those additional leads. They want to get the assistance with growing their business. These people, small businesses, what I've learned over the years is that, small businesses are really passionate about what they do. The reason they went into business is because, they obviously love It could be a beauty salon or a landscaping business or a lawyer or a doctor or a vet or a dog walker. It doesn't matter. They chose this line of business because they have a passion for what they do and they want to see their business succeed. And what we do is we speak to them in their language. It's not about, oh, please don't cancel our service. It's about, hey, you have this dream and you signed up for our service because you want to pursue that dream. You want to grow your business. And we're committed to helping you do that. And let's see how we can make that work for you. And something incredible I've recently learned when speaking to our director of customer success, and I truly, I've been at the company for over 4 years and I didn't know this, is that some of the users will go through, again, and this is I know it's a little complicated because we have our small business users that we serve directly, but we also sometimes we sort of have customer success as a service for some of our partners. And our customer success agents will do customer success on behalf of the agency, or in another scenario, sometimes we just train the customer success, the agency's customer success team. So there's like different types of partnerships. But what we always do, whether it's us or them or us training them, is there's this great practice where on the very first onboarding call, we ask, hey, what are you trying to achieve? What is your goal? And then that goal is documented in our CRM. So we know to say, this person, this business is interested in opening their second location, or this business is looking to expand their customer base by 50%, or this business is looking to introduce a new service and make more money out of that. And we're able to then kind of work with them on this goal. Hey, you say something like, hey, giving up now is going to just move you further away from that goal that you told me, that second location you told me about, that new service you wanted to launch. Let's not give up yet. Let's work together towards getting you to that goal. And we really see this as a joint journey. Whether it's us with the partner or us with the small business, we feel committed to that goal, and we want to work hand in hand with the small business to make sure they're able to reach to get what brought them to sign up with us to begin with.
That is such smart advice. And I just kind of want to underline it for everybody listening, because it applies no matter what it is that you're doing. If you're talking to a prospect, existing client, whether you're an agency, a small business, or what, if you're talking to somebody, one of the first things you should be asking in that conversation is, what's your purpose? What's your goal? What are your objectives? What are you hoping to accomplish here? And then write it down so that you can remember it and refer back to it. Because particularly if you're a consultant or something like that, that's something that should be leading everything else that you do with that particular client. So I love that. Now, there's a third tactic to reduce churn that you had told me about before. It's called, it was involving data signals. How does that work?
So, well, first of all, the whole adoption score mechanism is based on data signals. So is based on, understanding the increase or decrease in level of engagement, or we actually score different activities. So like viewing a lead alert is whatever, 2 points, but then sending them a message is 4 points, and sending them an invoice is 6 points. So we're able to kind of pick up on these signals, on these levels of activity, and then that's how we calculate the score. And then something else we do is, beyond the kind of just tracking of the adoption level, is also the level of exploration and discovery of services within the platform. So what we sometimes see is someone will come in and they'll have, because we work sometimes with what we call intent. So we have someone comes in with an intent and they're like, okay, I have this whole platform, but all I really want is just the online scheduling. I know that I can collect payments, or maybe I don't even know that. But anyway, I came for scheduling and that's what I'm going to be doing. And that we know is not not necessarily an indication for churn, but we know for a fact that this user is going to be less entrenched in the platform. They're going to have a very narrow use case, which is going to put them at higher risk of churn. And what we do is we're able to sort of profile these users according to their usage patterns and the fact that they might just be using a very, very slim portion of the product. And again, this is something we do with our direct small businesses and also for the users of our partners. So for agents, for small businesses that are agency customers, we have this whole is kind of like we call it like the brain. It's like a marketing automation brain, where we see, you know, which features and functionalities are being used by the small business, and then we're able to automatically. The customer success team doesn't even have to monitor this; it happens automatically. We send them information and sometimes even just educational materials about the features they're not using. So we can say something like, hey, you know, you added this widget to your website, and that's great. And, you know, you're getting these form submissions, but did you know that you could actually configure this widget and it'll enable your website visitors to actually schedule their first call with you? So they didn't have to submit a form. They're just booking their call, or they're submitting their document, or they're placing their first deposit, or whatever it is. We're able to recommend, you know, features that are already in the package that the user doesn't even, it's not even really an upsell. It's kind of just, you know, you have this, why not use it? And we do this, there's a couple of different criteria we look at. So of course we look at usage, you know, what is it that you're using and what is it that you're not? But we also pay a lot of attention to who the business is. You know, what is their business vertical? We know that a lot of the marketing agencies that work with us are sort of vertical agnostic. They serve different industries. So they've got, you know, their roofers and plumbers and landscapers and cleaners. And they've also got their hair salons or nail salons. And they've got their tax professionals and their notaries and their lawyers. And we're able to build sort of an experience for each one of these industries. And we know, for example, now is, you know, tax season or post-tax season. Prior to tax season, we know that these small businesses are going to want to send out their paperwork to get signed. So if they're not doing that, we're going to have a campaign that's sent automatically, specifically to tax professionals saying, hey guys, you know what? Tax season is coming up. And you've got this feature that can just save you a lot of back and forth with your customers because they can submit and sign their paperwork online. And there's absolutely no reason you shouldn't use it. And all the other tax professionals like you are using it. And here's how to do that. And we use emails, and sometimes we use tutorials. So it's really very much about product education as well.
Guys, listen, Rachel is doing this fantastic job of painting this beautiful picture of how Visita is able to walk alongside their customers and pay attention to what they're doing and what they're not doing, where those customers are missing opportunities to succeed. And I want to go, for you listening, take it a little bit higher level, because if you're not using Visita, you might be thinking, okay, well, that doesn't help me. I'm not in that line of work, which is cool. That's fine. Think about the things that you currently offer today as a product or a service, and figure out how you can identify which products or services your customers, your existing customers, are not taking advantage of, right? Maybe you're a consultant and you've got 2 or 3 areas where you typically provide consulting services. Okay, cool. Go into your email management system and start flagging your existing clients and add a tag for the services that they're not using. And you can set up easily email sequences and workflows that go out to the people who are tagged with the services that they're not currently using, and make sure they're aware of how else they could be benefiting. And that's very automated, very hands-off. You could obviously take a much more manual, hands-on approach and look very closely at the kinds of things that they're doing, listen to your consulting sessions, pay attention to your clients who are using your apps and your services, and watch for where they're not making full use of your business, and step in and be helpful and be mindful of how you can make their businesses succeed as a result of greater use of what you're offering. Love what you're talking about, Rachel. This is fantastic. I've got just one more question, because we've kind of touched on this. Oh, yeah?
No, as you were speaking, I just have this anecdote I feel like I have to share. I'm a woman and in my 30s, and obviously those 2 criteria make me targeted on social media advertising by many services and companies that offer all kind of like dieting services. So I kind of get targeted in this pool of people that are interested in, whatever it is, healthy living and fitness and cleansing and all that stuff. And I actually just saw this reel on Instagram of this dietitian that was talking about how so much of your diet and just maintaining a healthy lifestyle, you always think about the things that you're eating. So like, oh, I ate this and I ate this and I ate this. But so much of it is actually about the things that you aren't eating. The fact that you didn't have that, chocolate cake, or you did have the chocolate cake, but you had enough to keep you satisfied and not the whole cake. It's very much kind of parallel to how we look at adoption. And I think this is advice that we can give, like you said, anyone, regardless of if Visita is the type of service that they're interested in or not, is that how much of, retention and stickiness and maintaining those customers and building that customer lifetime value isn't even so much about what they're doing with your platform. It's so much of it is what they're not doing, that portion they're not leveraging, that phone call they didn't join with their account manager, those leads that are piling up and they're not taking advantage of, whatever line of business you're in. I'm sure you can kind of imagine what that looks like on your end. But so much is exactly in that space of what's not happening.
It's so true. And it's such a challenge today. It is such a challenge for us as human beings to think about what's not happening, that they've labeled it survivorship bias. During World War II, there was a problem where planes were being shot down at an astronomical rate, and they didn't know what to do. They knew that there was something mechanical that they could change about the way the planes were designed to help them not get shot down quite as much, but they didn't know what. So they brought in a mathematician. And the mathematician did a bunch of research and study and ended up giving them recommendations on where to put additional plates of armor on the plane. Say, hey, you need to protect these areas more because that's where they're getting shot down. And the people in charge at the Air Force that were looking at these recommendations, and it didn't make sense to them because the mathematician was recommending that they armor places where when they looked at the planes that were coming back and were just riddled with bullet holes, it wasn't those places. It was other places on the plane where the surviving planes weren't being hit. The problem was the planes that were crashing were getting hit in other places. So they were looking at these planes coming back, riddled with bullet holes, and thinking, okay, that's where we need to put more armor. And the mathematician said, no. Those are the surviving planes. They're not the ones that need your help. It's these other planes that you're leaving behind. They're the ones that need more help in these other areas. So it's hard for us to think about. And it's so cool that a tool like Visita can actually help us by triggering using, algorithms and such, and say, hey, your clients are at risk because they're not doing these things, right? Fantastic. Be thinking about that from your own business, those of you listening. So my last question for you, Rachel, because we've kind of touched on this a little bit, but we haven't really come out and said it. How have relationships played a role in the work that you're doing with these agencies?
Oh my goodness. So we're pretty much in the business of relationships. I'm in the business of relationships, and it touches everything and it impacts everything. And the way I look at it is I see there's sort of three layers of relationships here. So there's the relationship between, in this case, it's Visita and the agency, or any SaaS company or agency that are working together. And that's where I like to say where we consider ourselves to be customer obsessed. So we work really hard to create a solution that works really, really well for our partners. And that comes, on sort of the different layers of business, on the business level, on the go-to-market level, on the technical support level, on the engineering level. So like just an example is that we just completed our final round of adjustments to our roadmap for H1 2023. And the reason it takes us so long is because our partners are so heavily involved in our roadmap and on shaping the future of our product. So there's that one layer of relationship between the agency and Visita. And then there's the relationship between the agency and the small business customer. And we do a lot of heavy lifting there as well. So like all that automation, all that stuff we talked about, that's all a service we deliver to agencies so they can deliver to their businesses. So we're sort of engaging with those small businesses on behalf of the agency. And we're kind of maintaining the relationship between the agency and the small business, increasing the agency's perceived value, keeping the small business more engaged and more adopted on the agency solution. That's a service we deliver to our partners as well. And then the third layer is actually the relationship between the small business and their customers. So at the end of this whole kind of supply chain of services is a person that's just trying to, book an appointment for their kid with the doctor, or trying to take their dog to the vet, or trying to book their next consultation, for their retirement planning. And they get to do that in a way that's great and seamless and digital with the business they work with, because that business is using a digital solution to run their business. So they're able to log into a portal and just fill out a form instead of waiting on the line for half an hour, or actually leaving their house and driving 20 minutes to get to an office to talk to someone, or struggling to work their fax machine to send a document. They're able to do all those actions they can complete online. And at the very, very end of it, if we really boil down to, in my opinion, what Visita does is Visita helps the small businesses build better relationship with their customers and nurture their customers, and, convert more of these website visitors or leads from social media into repeat business, into relationships that serve them over years, into both money in the bank, as well as customers that they continue engaging with year after year. I actually just had a chat with a tax professional that uses Visita. And she was telling me that she's got customers. She's been with Visita for almost 7 years now. And she has customers that have been working with her year in, year out, because she uses the platform, because, she offers, that easy online scheduling experience, payments, submission of paperwork. That's what keeps her customers close to her. And when I heard that, to me, that was just so satisfying, because to us, really, it's all about, helping these small businesses build these great, sustainable businesses that generate revenue, that are stable, that keep them happy, that keep the agency happy, and at the end of the day, keep us happy too.
Absolutely love that. Thank you so much for sharing, particularly that anecdote about the tax preparer. That's fantastic. Rachel, you've been amazing. This has been such a fun and informative interview. Thank you. Can you tell folks where to connect with you and learn more about you and Visita?
Absolutely. Mike, thank you so much for hosting me. This has been so much fun. I've learned a lot. I've also, I always love talking. Mike, if you connect with me on LinkedIn, Rachel Nulman-Schapiro, VP Product Marketing at Visita, you'll see that I have a sentence on my, I don't know, it's not my bio. It's kind of like that little description on the top of LinkedIn where I said, I love talking, I love people, and I love tech. So I love talking to people about tech. So I really enjoyed this conversation. Thank you so much. I'd love to connect with you all on LinkedIn and have further conversation of how we could potentially work together. If you want to learn more about Visita, you can head over to visita.com. What you'll see is a website for small businesses. So it'll talk about the solution and its highlight for small businesses. So you're going to want to look for the partner page. It's on the main menu. You can navigate to it. And that's where we talk about our partnership program and specifically how we work with marketing agencies. And we'd love to be in touch and talk about how we can work together towards helping you reduce churn with your small business customers and generate that additional revenue.
Fantastic. We'll have all the links in the show notes. And that's all we've got for today, friends. But please do us a favor. Make sure that you subscribe to the podcast Partnership Unpacked on Apple and leave us a review. We'd love to know what you think. And until next time, see you then. Thank you for listening to another episode of Partnership Unpacked, hosted by Mike Alton and powered by AgoraPulse, the #1 rated social media management solution, which you can learn more about at agorapulse.com. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe on your favorite podcast player. Be sure to leave us a review. Your feedback is important to us. And if you want to be part of our audience during live broadcasts, take a look at our calendar at agorapulse.com/calendar. Until next time.